Right.
Kindergarten Cop was one of my favorite movies growing up, and Twins, and
My fanfic, by the way, about your childhood is Arnold screaming, "There is no bathroom" to you when he has to discipline you. And did it ever happen? Did he ever say it?
he loves saying his one-liners.
Oh, he does. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't even ask for them, and he says it. He's so corny with it. He'll just scream them out to you, and you're like, dude.
Prepare your ears, humans. Happy, sad, confused begins now.
Hey guys, it's Josh here. Welcome to another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. There's Lucy. If you're watching on video, she's ready for a walk. But before that, I'm going to tell you about today's episode. Look at her staring at me. With Patrick Schwarzenegger. I always love it when we have an actor meeting a moment, and that's what this is. We have the White Lotus just starting its new season, season 3, and Patrick has a plum choice part as Saxon. Not the nicest, coolest guy on the planet, but also not without shades of gray. You'll see. Um, yeah, so this is a nice chat with Patrick, who hasn't really done a lot of long form conversations like this before. So privileged he chose to do Happy, Sad, Confused today. I think you're gonna dig this chat with a young actor who is just kind of like ascending to another level. Before we get to Patrick, though, the usual bits and bobs I want to tell you guys about. As always, if you support Happy, Sad, Confused, if you want to support us, rather, go over to patreon.com/happy, sad, confused. If you like what I do, if you like the kind of podcast we do, we're making more stuff. We're trying to make more comedy bits, more special series, more of everything. Over at Patreon, you get early access, you get exclusive merch, you get autographed posters, you get discount codes. We try to give you a lot of bang for your buck over there. So check it out, patreon.com/happy, sad, confused. Lets us make more stuff for you. Our only live event I can tout still, and I'm itching to tout some more, but we're not quite locked in. But I promise you, there are some really cool ones to come. Is March 20th in New York City. Me and Nathan Lane at Symphony Space, a first-time guest on Happy, Sad, Confused, but we have a ton to talk about. This man has had quite the career in film and TV and stage, so I'm really excited for that. Get your tickets now. The information is in the show notes. Okay, a little more on Patrick, and then I'll let you enjoy our conversation. Look, we know the name Schwarzenegger. We know the lineage. He is, of course, the son of Maria Shriver and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he knows you'll hear it or see in this conversation. He wears that pressure, that responsibility, that privilege very well. I really like this guy. I had never chatted with him before, but you'll see he's a solid dude, and he's making the right moves now. I think you've seen him in recent years in things like The Staircase and Gen V, American Sports Story, and it really I feel like it's clicking in a different way now, thanks to this. When I feel like when you get the call to be on White Lotus, it's the call to get right now for any actor of kind of any age group, to be honest. So, this was, as I said, the right time to chat with him. This is a great chat about how he's navigated his career thus far, where he sees himself going forward in the future. And yeah, the weight of, being the son of one of the biggest movie stars in the history of film. So, all of that and more in this conversation. I know you guys are going to dig it. Here is me and Patrick Schwarzenegger. Mr. Patrick Schwarzenegger, finally on Happy, Sad, Confused. This is the moment to have you on the pod, Patrick. You're in the middle. How does it feel to be in the middle of the zeitgeist? This is a nice little moment. How you feeling?
It's great, man. It's been a whirlwind of a week. But it's exciting. I'm really pleased that the show is doing so well, and that there's such great reviews, and it was a dream of mine to be part of it. So
Yeah.
it's been great.
Yeah, you don't want to be the one that's like ruined the White Lotus. Like I literally just had Theo James on last week, and he was talking about how the only pressure, like it's great to be on a show that has a built-in audience and everyone's
Yeah.
expecting to be great, but at the same time you're like, wait, what if I'm the one that fucks it up?
Like if you were the outlet, like the one that just
Yeah, the
sucked.
season they don't talk about. The season yeah.
Yeah. I know that there's definitely, I mean, that's like the pro and con, right? Is that you're joining a show that has a lot of brand equity. It has a huge following. And, people are very critical of the show. And that's also the pro, that there's all these people there ready to watch it. And then the con is that they judge it in a harsher way, and that they're quick to judge. And if you're the season that it's not good, that sucks. And but that's why we do this. It's to be on a show like this and to work
Yeah.
with someone like Mike White and to have that trust and that kind of director with such rich and creative writing, and he's just a
Yeah.
genius. So I mean, it never really crossed my mind that it wouldn't work, but it crosses your mind of what if it didn't.
Well, it's gonna work because even honestly, the stuff that Mike's done over the years that hasn't, for whatever reason, resonated with the audience is still awesome. Whether you're looking at like Enlightened or, I mean, I'm quite a bit older than you, but I remember way back when watching Chuck and Buck, which I don't know if you went back and saw.
Hmm, hmm.
Uh, and I would recommend maybe folks after they see the storylines in the season, Chuck and Buck might even make more, be more relevant. But like he's always had such a singular voice, and I find it so funny to see like where he came from, like kind of like on the fringes of like film and TV, and now he's at the center of culture. Like the culture, I
Yeah,
feel like caught up with Mike White. We figured it
yeah,
out.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Well, I'm a huge fan of School of Rock.
Oh, of
You know,
course. Come on.
Schneebly was like that was my jam growing up.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so how soon after you get this gig do you add the White Lotus theme song to your playlist? Is it in the gym playlist?
Well, I was a huge fan of the first one, and then the second one became like this cultural like pop sensation of like
Right,
Tiesto remixed it, and it was like this huge thing. And sometimes you would be on set and you would be doing a scene where like maybe you're walking or you're doing another scene like right when you finish your dialogue, and all of a sudden from behind camera in his chair, Mike would just be like. Like just at it, and he would start cracking up. It was really funny, and I would break character. I would just start laughing at him.
amazing.
But I think one of the things, because I think it's so like I'm in awe of what Mike does. Of he continues to challenge himself by changing everything,
Yeah.
and like the
So-
music is the easiest thing to look at because the first season was such a hit. Like the
right,
music was everywhere. And then he made it different with the second season, added the opera, kind of Italian opera side
right.
of things, and made it a different kind of beat drop. And that was a massive success. And the third one, this one, I remember asking him about it, and Dave Bernard, the producer, and he was like, I want to do something really different. I want to do something that's like this whole season is way darker, it's way richer, it's way more dramatic, it investigates death and religion. I want it to be like, something that's a lot more moody and dark. And when I first heard it, I was like, oh my God, this is so different.
Yeah.
And the song, after playing it, I've heard it for months now. So, the consumers have just started to hear it. It's grown on me tremendously, but it's completely different. And I just respect that he's so just uncomfortable with being comfortable, like just
Right.
being, kind of at that moment of he knows that it works, and he already knew that, and he's like, why would I do the same thing that works? Like I want to
Yeah.
challenge myself, and it's just like it's really respectful that respectable, I should say, that he's continuing to push himself. I mean, it's
Yeah, and just being so like judicious in like, you could imagine certain iterations of the show being like carrying over like three or four or five like cast members and being so like very specific. If it serves the story, if it's going to make sense,
yeah,
then he brings them along.
yeah,
Otherwise, no go.
yeah.
Um, I mean, look, you've had some nice successes in your career, but is the phone call when you finally get this one, like, is that the moment so far in your career where it's like this feels like this is a moment?
Yeah, I guess probably. I mean, for me, every time I've gotten a job, it's been a really beautiful kind of great moment for me. Um, I guess the first time that I felt like a real shift in my career was when I got The Staircase, which was a
Sure.
show I did with HBO, and Colin Firth and Juliette Binoche and Toni Collette, Dane DeHaan. It was like all these Michael Strobel, all these Emmy award winning and Oscar award winning actors, and then me. Um, and that was kind of the moment where I was like, I just was kind of in shock and in awe that a director, Antonio Campos, took a chance with me um, and just was willing to give me the opportunity to work with these high caliber actors and actresses. And But that show was something that it had a big fan following for The Staircase, like it had because of the documentary and stuff like that. But it's not on the scale of White Lotus. And same with Gen V, I think was a really cool moment for me,
Sure.
being part of the boys universe. That had a very loyal and big fan base. But White Lotus was the first time where I was part of something that I was also kind of fangirling over myself for it,
Right, right, right,
Like I
right,
was a
right.
huge fan of the show. And so was my fiance, so was my family, so was like my friends. So it was this kind of like this moment that I kind of like yeah, I just when I got that message from Mike and from the team, I literally just prayed and thanked God, and I started crying, and it was just like this. I just couldn't believe that I was going to be part of this universe and get to work with Mike and with all these different actors and actresses. And um, there's part of it that like at that moment where you're so excited and so happy, and then there's that quick kind of like gulp of oh my God, I'm going to be part of this,
Right.
which
No,
is like,
totally.
and I haven't read the script yet, so I was just like I only knew the audition, and I was like okay, and then I was like oh boy, I have to read these scripts, like what's going to happen, what do I do? And then I read the
Right.
scripts and I was like oh boy, what this is what I'm doing. And then but then it's like it's yeah, so there's a little bit of that nerve that catches up with you of like yeah, wow, this is a big moment, a big
Yeah.
show.
Now I got to get to work. Yeah, and
Yeah,
accomplish it. Okay, so we'll get to Saxon and the character for a bit, but you mentioned getting emotional. It was so sweet to see you share the video of you sharing the news with your family. Oh my
right.
gosh, like that's what was it like to like watch mom, watch sis react? And obviously, it's like they felt they knew what this meant for you, and to just see you all kind of like share in that moment is such a
Yeah,
beautiful thing.
it was a really sweet moment, and it was like my fiance, we were on a because it happened the day after Christmas, so we were actually on like a Christmas trip together. And I had not told anybody except for my fiance for the first couple days. And we were at lunch, and they kept questioning why I was acting weird, and like felt that I was acting weird. And I didn't want to say, but eventually I was like, okay, I'm just going to say it. And my fiance knew this moment was coming, so she put the phone up
Right.
to film it. But then my mom screamed that she puts it down, and like got so awkward. And then she brought it back up and started videoing it again. But yeah, I mean, it's always nice, to share a moment with people that you love and that are your closest kind of companions, and it's really sweet to see them root for you. I
Sure.
think there was this. I actually saw this video the other day from Simon Sinek that was like he was trying to define how he knew someone was a best friend, and it was a moment that he said he felt comfortable sharing an achievement or a big moment, and that they were genuinely excited for him. And it was not someone that he called when it was just, he said he had a lot of people that he could call when there was something bad or when he was feeling down or something like that, but he didn't feel like that he had that many people that he could call and tell them that they got that big promotion or that big, moment that the
Yeah.
other person was going to be genuinely so happy and proud of him. And I thought that after kind of watching that video, I was like, it's just so it's so great to have yeah people that really support you and want the
100%.
best for you. And it was a genuine just reaction from my mom and my sister of how happy they were for me, and also happy because it's their favorite show. So
Amazing. Would would
yeah.
would would Dad have had his emotional reaction if we caught it on video? Was
No, he wouldn't have. He literally would have been like, White Lotus, what is that? Are you doing a car commercial or what is it? How much are you getting paid?
I was gonna say, what's the contract? What's the
Yeah, what's the
let's
con
get down to brass tacks. What's
he's not a big he now watches the show
Mhm.
because of me, and he called me the other day after and was like, raving about it. He had never seen the show prior.
Right.
It just takes a lot for him to sit down and b to watch something, so he doesn't watch much TV at all. But now he's really into it, and he just thinks it's hilarious.
Amazing.
But when I told him first when I got it, he didn't know the caliber of it.
All right, so let's talk about this guy, Saxon. I don't know if there's ever been in the history of mankind a chill dude named Saxon. That kind of gives it away the game right there a little bit. Um, did he, I guess you were saying you hadn't read scripts when you actually officially got the part. So what did you know, and how was it revealed to you like the layers of this guy? It's kind of like, a douchebag, certainly by all intents and purposes, but hopefully with a little more depth as well.
Yeah, it was. I'm just putting this up a little. It was when it was brought to me as an audition. It was this, I think the log, like the character description was, there was a one sentence description. I think it said like a Southern finance bro that works for his dad and is a total flirt or something like that.
Right.
I've talked about this before because I think Mike does this in a very purposeful way, and same with Dave Burnett, and same with the casting director, is that I think they just give you a little snippet as to what their character is, and they don't give you a script, they don't give you anything, and they kind of want you to interpret what you think the character would be and what he's like. Um, and so when I did the audition, I just kind of, I took a little bit of a swing as to what he was going to be. And I know with Mike's, with White Lotus and stuff, he likes these characters to be, yes, the douchebag, but also kind of funny and fun. And,
Right.
and also he wants anybody to be able to be the killer. He wants he wants the audience constantly guessing, who's who and what's what and what's going on and all these different things. And so I just, the first seconds of the audition, I just played this kind of like weird, kind of creepy, but kind of funny of just like eye fucking and checking out the camera, which I talked about before. And it was just kind of like this funny, uncomfortable moment of the character, just building this character with the camera there in front of you. And then going into the audition scene of hitting on these cougars and whatnot. But that's all I knew about the character, was just that little sentence log line.
So without revealing the whole game of where this season's going, I mean, the seeds are there from the start of like this, the family dynamic. There's something off here. There's some interesting things at play here.
We're normal. We're normal. Parker's line, and that is so funny.
Totally. So how is that revealed to you of kind of what, like, literally, are you reading the scripts in real time? Like you must have had the same WTF moment like I had watching with my wife on the couch, literally talking to the screen, being like, "Am I watching this?
Yeah,
Is this real?"
yeah. No, I did. I read the scripts and I had that moment of like, oh my God, this is just getting insane and absurd and also hilarious and just crazy. And yeah, I mean, without ruining stuff, it gets White Lotus. It gets very Mike White and very insane. And I think I read it in just real time. I got one episode to the next to the next. I just went through them all. And
I mean, is that exciting for you as an actor? Like,
yeah,
it must
well,
be like a little
is,
scary, but also exciting. Like, oh, we're going there. We're pushing this. And yeah,
it is. It's exciting. And I like kind of skimmed some parts of the script. I also did not read a lot of the script. Because I'm such an avid fan and consumer of the show, I didn't want to know everything. Because one of the cool things about the show is like your character and your kind of group may not mesh with another group. You might not overlap. And so I wanted to know as least as possible because I wanted to be able to watch it in like a fun way as a consumer. But yeah, when I read it, it was like, anytime that there's a challenging or uncomfortable scenes or uncomfortable directions for the character or any of these things, like it's something that we also crave as actors because it's a challenge. It's something that it's kind of like that. I don't know, like maybe as a sports player when you're down by 2 points and you have the possession of the ball at the end, or you have your moment to shine, I guess, if you will. It's like a nerve-wracking moment that's testing you in your career, and it's a moment for you to kind of prove to yourself and to others. And so I think when you read scripts, there's always parts that are scary and that are pushing you, but they're also exciting. It's like when I read The Staircase, the whole opening 10 pages is my character showing up at the house when my mom is dead at the bottom of the staircase, and it's me walking through, and it's a oneer on me the whole time, and finding her dead at the bottom, and my dad collapsed crying, and me picking him up, and I read it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to do this 10-minute oneer with Colin Firth. Like that's who I'm supposed to act opposite of, like I was like, and Tony Collette there on the ground. I was like, this is insane. I'm so scared to do this, but at the same time, it was like when I done it, it was such a great moment for me to kind of just to push myself into and to grow, I guess, as an actor and as a person. So, yeah.
I will say I'm so happy. Look, I mean, I love binging shows as much as anybody, but like this is shows like this remind us why the week to week experience is so fun to kind of like go along the ride with an audience and see them experience in real
It's the
time.
worst thing ever, but it's the best thing ever, you know? It's
Right.
like you watch one episode and you're like, I cannot, it's so annoying HBO does this. You have to wait a full week to watch another episode.
Yeah.
And then you kind of do it and you're so happy that it like that you have the show to watch for 8 weeks and it's like
Right.
it's spread out. But in the moment you're like, I just want to watch it all. Just like give it to me all. It's so annoying. And then you're like so thankful
Yeah.
that you have the time to watch it.
Did you have those shows growing up? I don't know timeline. Like it was like Lost your show, or were
Oh,
you into?
Lost was huge. Breaking Bad. I was well, more recently Succession or Game of Thrones or um, I mean, there's definitely fun. There's parts that are amazing about having a show to binge, but a show like this is so made to be watched week after week
Yeah.
because I think that Mike is so smart of how he just kind of throws the fishing pole out there and slowly reels you in and wants
Right.
you to converse with other people. Like the most fun thing is that I'm when I go to the office or that I'm home with with friends is all of them asking me questions. I think this person does this and I think this is what's going to happen and this is next episode I think this and this and this and so it does a really good job of keeping it current for those 8 weeks. It's
Right.
talked about beyond just the show. And I
Yeah.
think that that's what it does such a great job of just slowly giving clues and reeling people in and letting them have this dialogue outside of the Sunday nights.
Since we have the luxury of a little time, I want to go back with you for a bit because I've heard you in interviews, but I haven't heard you do a ton of kind of like stuff about fully about your background, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Officially, it's Patrick Arnold Shriver Schwarzenegger. Your
Mm-hmm.
parents didn't make it easy for you to hide. Like that name is going to jump out for a number
Yeah,
of reasons to the public.
yeah.
What's been like? I mean, it's a long conversation in and of itself just to talk about the weight of all of that, but like
Yeah.
you reckoning with what that name means to people. I mean, have you wrestled with that at different times in your life of like, gosh, I wish I had a different name. This is just like this, there's a baggage, good and bad, that goes with this. Give me a sense of sort of
Oh,
your journey with like who you are through both sides of your family.
gosh, that would be like a
I, I
full
I know
therapy
it's a
session.
5 hour
Um,
conversation, but
it's a deep conversation of like, yeah, I guess the easiest way to put it is like I've wrestled with it, yeah, immensely. I mean, I think that I've wrestled with it and there's pros and there's cons, just
yeah,
as there is with everybody in life. I mean, people always ask me that, I guess one of the questions I get the most is what's it like to have these people as your parents? And the other one is like, do you wish you didn't have this, last name? And I guess, my answer is that I not that you're asking it, but I'll tell you is just
yeah,
that like yeah, I wouldn't change anything in the world. Like I feel very fortunate to have the life that I have. And, for my parents both working extremely hard to give me the life and, the health and the wealth that we have and the education and all these different things. But yeah, there's also sides of it that are a downside like that video for example. There's people when I open that video or people send it to me on Instagram and people are like, oh, it's so sweet that they root for each other, whatever. Oh, I love this video until I found out it was just a nepo kid getting his
right,
another moment, or I really rooted for this video and then I found out it was a Patrick Schwarzenegger and he just got it probably because of X, Y, and Z. So that there's those things as well which I can't control and I'll never be able to control everyone's opinions about me. But um, yeah, I think that
well, it's complicated for a thousand reasons, and it's like it's so funny. I keep having these conversations with I just talked to Maya Hawke and John David Washington and Jack
yeah,
Quaid and all these
yeah,
folks, and it is like a something you kind of have to reckon with
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's there, and when you walk into an audition room, it's there, and it feels like it's all about acknowledging, yes, the privilege and the
yeah.
advantage, and of course that's a part of it, but it's also like that doesn't keep you at the table. Maybe it gets you in the door, but it's not going to keep you in that room.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's hard to articulate that to people, and I totally understand it from their side as well. And it's the same people that would be mad at me if I was, a drug addict, or if I was an actor, or if I was, got a job at the, at the bank, or if I
Right.
was an agent, or if I was a podcaster, or what, no matter what, people are going to be upset, and I get it.
Yeah.
But it's ultimately what I've found out over the course of my time is that it's a bottomless hole to try to fill that void of me trying to convince everyone,
Right.
and it's
Right.
it took a long time to get to that point, but I think what I realized was just really trying to focus on like in my internal happiness and what was making me happy, and feel fulfilled and feel successful, and all these different things was what was paramount, and that's what I really had to focus on. And
Yeah.
one of the other questions I get asked the most is like, why haven't you done a movie with your dad? And that's one of the reasons, is just I didn't want to. I really didn't want to work with him because I didn't feel like I would feel happy doing that. Whether it was in an amazing movie or not, like I just felt like that to me would be, not advancing the career that I wanted to build, and I wouldn't feel like I earned it. And
It becomes the story. And I could imagine like at a certain point in your life, maybe that makes sense. But it's like when you're building something from the ground up and you want to build it on your own.
Totally, totally. Like now, if he asked me if there was a cool script that had some sort of father-son thing, like great, I'd be open to it. But I
Right.
wanted to feel like I was building my own reputation, my own
Yep.
career without him in a way. I know everything will be included with him, and everyone will think that, but I wanted to for
Yeah.
myself. So
You mentioned we were talking about TV you were into. What about on the film side? Actors, franchises. What was your bag? Were you a comic book kid? Were you sci-fi, Harry Potter, Star Wars? What was your thing?
yeah, I mean, growing up, it was, if I were to just like a Friday night growing up as a kid, it was always like comedy.
Oh yeah.
But with, but I definitely watched a lot of sci-fi growing up, just from like, I guess with my dad with Terminator and him kind of showcasing different types of movies to us. I took took cinematic arts in college. So I have a major in business and a minor in cinematic arts and film. So we took history of film. We took a whole semester on Hitchcock, and then a whole semester on Spielberg. You watch every single Hitchcock movie, every single Spielberg movie, and it's kind of from one into the next, and how Hitchcock influenced Spielberg, and from all different areas, from suspense to the scores and music, and
Yeah.
all these different aspects. So I kind of grew up watching anything and everything, and same with today. I mean, obviously, TV today is way different than what it was when I was growing up. When I was in my teens and stuff, I think there was maybe like Lost was like the only show I was really
Right.
watching. And then obviously when I got into my 20s, it was like with the creation with Netflix blowing up and then all the streamers, the amount of shows that we're hit with and inundated with has grown tremendously. And I feel like, now I probably watch just as much TV as I watch of films.
Totally.
So it's a mix, I guess.
When would you say? Because like if you look at the resume, there's some early like bits and bobs you're popping in. Like these are glorified like extra kind of work. I
Yeah, yeah,
assume.
yeah.
Right. Right. But like when did in your mind you get serious and say I'm going to start auditioning. I'm going to really go after this. I'm going to do this.
I would say I got semi-serious when I was about 18,
Mhm.
after doing kind of some theater classes and stuff in school and doing plays. And then I would say once I graduated college is when I got like serious about going into theater school and taking weekly acting classes. And I've stayed in the same acting school and acting class for the last, it'll be almost 10 years now, where we put up a play every Thursday night. And so I guess my interest has continued, in the film space and in the acting space, and I would say COVID was the moment, like the 20 year of 2020 was like the moment for me where I rethought my whole kind of career and where did I want to go.
Right.
And that was the moment where I'm like, is this acting thing for me? Do I want to do this? Do I not? Um, that was another moment for me. And I kind
Sim
of was looking up to other actors, like you brought up what other actors and stuff.
Yeah.
And when I just looked at kind of where my career was, it was just like it was something that I was just not happy with and it was partly my own fault of just like going back to that question before of like, I cared so much about social media. I cared so much about how I was perceived. I cared so much about all these different things that it just like, didn't matter. And when I looked at other people's careers that I liked, um, they just were doing things that were different than what I was doing.
Right.
And they weren't focused on, showing people where they were working out or getting a coffee on Instagram. They weren't focused on their
Right.
their yeah, their social medias or what they're doing. They weren't focused on doing a glitzy, rom-com or whatever movie on Netflix to get, they were focused on doing the character pieces and
Right.
really doing serious acting roles and so that's kind of when in that COVID, my acting teacher kind of said, this is a moment where when you're not in the playing field, when the whole industry was kind of shut down. And she was like, you're on the sidelines. And although it seems like it sucks to be on the sidelines, it's a beautiful time to look at the playing field from another perspective and kind of look at it and see who do you admire and
Yeah.
why do you admire their careers and to try to base it off of what you really like. Like success leaves clues. And if there's a successful person that you admire, um, what are the clues? What have they done that have made you admire them? And
Yeah.
so I kind of just rethought my whole career and I just had a meeting with my kind of team and I just said, I don't want to do really anything unless it's going to challenge me or push me or make me a better actor and work with really amazing, talented, writers or producers or directors or other actors. And there was a year or two where I didn't really work and then I worked with Amy Poehler on Moxie, which for me was really cool to work with someone like that. And then that's
Right.
right after that was The Staircase. And that's why I said that was like a real breaking point for me of someone giving me the opportunity and the chance to prove myself in that way.
It does again from the outside looking in, everything you're saying makes perfect sense because it does feel like there's a shift in like realizing I can be the lead, the second lead in kind of like a whatever that like gets a lot of views, or
Right.
I can be part of an ensemble. I can take the supporting role and work with the best and learn from the best.
Yeah, and I
And
said
that
that.
will elevate me.
I had zero ego with it. I literally would have done a 1 day role in The Staircase. Like I would have done and I still would. Like I would. That's my own fault of like sometimes my agents will say like, "You sure you want to like go up for this?" This is like I did another movie this last year, and I filmed for 1 day, and I worked with Pacino. My whole scene was with Pacino.
Come on.
And I was like, I want to do this. I don't care about, I'm not doing it for the money, like just to work with him and have a full day in a 5 minute scene with him. It's a great learning experience and a great opportunity for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going way back, I know this is totally off topic what we're talking about, but how the heck did you end up in an Ariana Grande music video way back when? That's a fun little curiosity nowadays,
It
especially.
is. It is funny. Some people have linked the two this week with Lotus coming out, and people were like, "Wait, is that the guy from the Right There Ariana Grande music video? What is he doing in White Lotus?" We're like, "What happened?" Well,
Where's he
it's
been for a decade? I've been working, guys. What are you
yeah,
doing?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's also funny because when you come out with a show like this, like White Lotus, it has such a big fan base and so many viewers, but it also shows you like the other stuff that you've done, how many people. It's just such a different level.
Yeah.
So people do literally say, "Where's he been for a decade? What is he not? Is the last thing he did Right There music video?" And they're like, "No, I've done all these other things." But yeah, I mean, some people just don't. There's not crossover. They don't watch it.
Right.
Um, but how did I end up in that? It was a Scooter Braun actually came to me with that. I had met Scooter and I was doing acting and he was like, "Do you want to come in for this?" Ariana Grande was just starting. This was
Right.
like one of her first, I think it was like her second big song or something like that. It was like 10 years ago or more. Um, and so I went and did it. We shot it for 2 days and it was kind of like this cool moment. And then she really blew up after that.
Amazing.
Yeah, it
It's
was
like going
really
back and looking at like Alexander Skarsgård being in like a Lady Gaga video like way back when. It's like, oh wait, that guy. in
Yeah,
that thing. That's interesting.
yeah. It was a cool experience. I'd never done a music video, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Gen V, of course, is all you mentioned is a big moment. And you mentioned, I heard somewhere, so was initially you actually went up for Homelander
Yeah.
for The Boys. What do you
Yeah.
remember of that audition? I'm just curious. I mean, Tony Starr does an amazing job, but I'm just curious what
Oh,
your.
I'm so happy I did not get that because he's so brilliant, and I would not even come close to comparing to what he's done. Seriously, just like I don't, yeah, I know he gets a lot of recognition, but I don't think he gets enough recognition for
Oh, I'm
what he's
obsessed. He's
done.
amazing. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I feel like he should be like he should be getting Emmys for that. He's like
100%.
it's insane his performance. And it's so like just yeah, it's just so leveled, and it's like it's has so much depth to it. But that was the first time I had read anything about The Boys. That was before The Boys was The Boys.
Right.
I didn't get a call back. I didn't get, it was nothing. We auditioned for hundreds of things, and we get
Right.
a percentage, 1%, less than a percent of what we auditioned for. So that's it. They wanted me to come in for that. I don't know what at the time, what they were casting, if they were looking at all different ages or what they were looking at, but
Yeah.
that's what happened. And then when they were doing the Gen V spinoff, they came to me saying, like, we know you auditioned for that and we remember it, and we want you to audition for this Golden Boy. And it was just kind of positioned as like he was going to be this kind of a miniature version of Homelander, but he was honestly like a really good kid and a really nice, genuine person. And he was kind of struggling with having to become part of that superhero and that kind of level of fame. And oh, by the way, we're going to kill you at the end of the first episode. And I was like, okay, great. So it's a 1 episode arc. And they're like, well, we might bring the character back in certain scenes and certain this and this. And so whatever, I auditioned for it. And then I, got the call back and did the director read and the chemistry read. And then it all came into play. But it was kind of a reminder for me of, sometimes you don't want to or audition for something or you don't know. And it's a good learning lesson of just putting your best foot forward. And I'd seen that with, I don't know if it was Jeff Bridges or who, or Gosling or someone had kind of said that, just use it as an exercise of
Yeah.
a moment, even if you don't think you're right for the role or whatever, just go out there and put your best foot forward and use it as a learning exercise, because you never know, the casting director might
Yeah.
think of you from it for another part or for another kind of thing down the road. And that's what happened. They just thought of me for this Golden Boy, and one thing led to the next, and I got brought back.
But by the nature of the world we live in the last 10, 15 years and your age and kind of like your appearance, I would imagine, have you done more than your share of superhero auditions in your
Oh,
career?
no, I haven't. I've only auditioned for, I think, like 2 superheroes. I think it was literally like Homelander, and then I think it was Golden Boy, and and Superman. Those were like the three that I think I've auditioned for.
Oh my gosh. So it's Superman. Do you get into the costume? What was it like?
No, I don't even think I don't think I got any feedback. I think it was like, no, not not for you. And then it was fine. Then I got
Aw.
the White Lotus one right after, and it was that. But
So is that just like a self tape? You don't go in. That's just something
yeah,
tape
that
you
was
sent.
a
Yeah.
self tape, because this
Yeah.
was like right after it's been weird. The industry has been like, I have
It's all tape now,
I
right?
have an
It's like,
in-person audition next week, and that's like one of the first ones I've had since COVID. Like the only other one that I've done an in-person one for was with Ryan Murphy for Tim Tebow for American Sports Story. That was
right.
in person with him and the producers and casting and everything like that. And then I did one other one for the Idea of You movie.
Oh,
Was
sure.
an in-person. That's it. Everything else now is Zoom. It's really weird, and you do
That's crazy. Because it's like, I
Zoom
mean,
on.
that's a weird kind of skill in and of itself, but it also, yes, some of it translates, but some of it can't possibly translate. It's
No, it
just,
can't. It would be like this. And what happens is right now when I'm on Zoom with you, I have like you're over here and I'm over here.
right.
But you do it where it's just, I'm not technical. So it's just
No, I
one
got you.
person on the screen. And when they talk, they're on it. And then you talk and it switches to you.
Right.
So it's really weird doing a scene with someone, because sometimes they'll be mid talk and you say something and it'll switch to you. And
Right.
then it's like, it's really distracting and weird.
Bizarre. So I know White Lotus kind of you kind of manifested this one. You wanted this one. You were a fan of the show. I have a possible manifestation. I saw way back when you did a Patrick Bateman photo shoot for Vanity Fair. They're doing
Yeah.
American Psycho. Maybe there's something out there for you. You and Luca Guadagnino.
I would love nothing more than the opportunity to work on that. It was one of my favorite films, you know, years and years ago,
Yeah.
with Christian Bale. And um, I don't
Who
know.
who
I
who
think
or
Luca casted that already. I don't know. Maybe he
there were
didn't.
some rumors that Austin was going to do it, but I don't know if that's real or not. Austin
Okay.
Butler. Austin can't take every role. I love Austin,
I
believe
he,
me.
he takes every role.
There are four of him. We don't know
I
that. He cloned himself.
like
Yeah.
I'm up for an audition and they're like, Austin Butler got it, Jacob Elordi got it, Glenn Powell got it, and it's just like I just get the scraps. So I'll take the scraps. But
There's enough for everybody.
yeah, I would love to. I would love to audition for that, and I'm sure he's going to do it in a very unique and different way than what they did before, or else why
Yeah.
would you need to redo it?
100%.
But it's yeah, my character in White Lotus is it's funny because so many people said that. I mean, the show is a lot more to go. We're 1 out of 8 episodes, and it's
Right.
it's Mike wanted him, like I said, to be this kind of like fratty flirt bro that was like, took himself way too serious and felt like he knew everything. But also, there's moments of him being really goofy and silly, and you kind of, root for him in a really weird way, and you enjoy watching him. And
Yeah.
and more stuff comes down the road. Mike's too rich and smart of a writer to make someone, like
One
this the whole
dimensional.
time.
100%. Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, hopefully Luca watches the show and gives me a chance to come in if he hasn't already casted one of those other people that are, a couple
Yeah.
levels up.
I was going to say, hey, if you look at the original film, there's a nice little ensemble of those creepy
Yeah.
dudes,
Yeah.
so so is there an actor, a filmmaker, a franchise that we can help manifest? If I could will some collaboration into existence today,
Mm.
what can we do for you, Patrick?
I don't know I mean, a movie. I mean, I think I know I didn't even get a call back on the Superman, but I think what Gunn's doing with the DC world is really unique and different. And I
Yeah.
think that totally revamping that. And I'm really curious to see where that goes and would love to be in that world. As far as other universes, I mean, working with a director like Luca, I mean, something like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what project it is, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole laundry list of other directors and obviously directors that I grew up watching that are still going. I think today they just announced the Scorsese one with Leo, and Spielberg's doing another movie this summer, and
Yeah.
Nolan is doing the Odyssey now, and they already cast 50 people in that. But any of those
51, Patrick Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
here he comes.
once again, I'll be an extra. I'll play a whatever. So I mean, there's so many different, just amazing directors and writers and
Yeah.
people that I want to work with.
So,
Yeah.
but as we wrap up, one question I wanted to ask you when we were talking about your parents earlier, I asked Maya Hawke this, and she surprised me. She was telling me she's not seen a fair amount of her parents' films. She confessed she had never seen Dead Poets Society, for instance. Is there a
Really?
hole? I know. Is there a
That's a
hole?
really good one.
It is a good one. Is there a hole in your Arnold Schwarzenegger knowledge? Is there
Oh,
one film you've been saving?
There's definitely ones that I have not seen. I mean, I've seen, obviously the Terminators, the, Predator, True Lies, and then there's obviously the comedic ones that I loved as a kid. Kindergarten Cop was one of my favorite movies growing up, and Twins, and
My fanfic, by the way, about your childhood is Arnold screaming, "There is no bathroom" to you when he has to discipline you. And did it ever happen? Did he ever say it?
he loves saying his one-liners.
Oh, he does. I know.
Yeah, you don't even ask for them, and he says it. He's so corny with it. He'll just scream them out to you, and you're like, dude, like, get over yourself. But I have not seen Last Action Hero.
Oh, I like Last Action Hero. I know
Yeah,
it gets some flack, but I like it.
it got a lot of, it was a huge budget movie and stuff. And I remember seeing like a clip of it because we had this pinball machine in our house growing up. But I have not watched it start to finish. I don't think as an adult of really watching a film. Um,
I think separated from the all the controversy, the big budget of the time, I think you'll appreciate it. It's a quality flick. It's a good one.
yeah, yeah. And I
McTiernan.
feel I know I need to watch it because I know my dad was actually saying this like a couple of months ago. He was like, you should find a way to redo it. It was such a big disaster, but so amazing, all these different things. And so I
Oh,
need
it's
to
a
go.
smart idea. No, it's a very smart movie.
Yeah, I have to go
All
back.
right,
I think it was ahead of its time then, right? It was just
totally.
crazy.
All right, I'm going to end with this. We end every episode with the happy, sad, confused, profoundly random questions, Patrick. Here we go. Are you a dog or cat person?
Dog.
Good. My dog's, as you can hear, whining next to me.
Yeah.
What do you collect, if anything?
What do I collect, if anything? Oh, what do I collect? Maybe.
Hmm. Hats. I see some hats around
Yeah,
you.
I do have a lot of hats.
Yeah.
That's actually true. Hats
Okay.
is a good one. Maybe,
Okay.
yeah, hats.
Oh, okay, we'll go with that. Do you have a favorite video game of all time? One you've sucked hours of your life?
Oh, Super Smash Bros. N64, Nintendo 64. We still have like a weekly game that we play with some friends. Super Smash Bros. And I'm Kirby.
Basic. Love it. This is the Dakota Johnson Memorial question. She asked me this once, so I apologize in advance. It's a bit crude, but it's Dakota. It's not me. Would you rather have a mouthful of bees or one bee in your butt?
One bee in my butt, I guess. A
I think
thousand bees or mouthful of bees sounds awful.
sounds horrendous. Yeah, one
Yeah,
bee. Take your chances on the one bee. Maybe it's a
I'll
kind
take the
bee.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe it'll
yeah.
die and forget.
What's the wallpaper on your phone?
I don't have my phone on me, but it's a carousel of me and my fiance, me and my family, and my sister, my dad, my mom,
Nice.
friends. It's like 20 photos that it goes through.
Nice. Who's the
Yeah.
last actor you were mistaken for? Does it ever happen?
Yes, I get mistaken a lot for the guy, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but the guy from Pretty Little Liars.
Okay. Oh, I'm gonna blank on that name too, unfortunately. But no disrespect. We love you, whoever you
No,
are
but I had a
yeah.
funny story where one time I was outside this hotel and a group of girls came up to me and asked me for a selfie. This was like maybe like 3 years ago. And wait, I want to see his name. Wait, what is his name? Is it Jared
I,
on Pretty Little-
I,
or
I can Google while we're talking.
Jason Durantis? Or I never watched the show, but they came up to me and they were like, "Can we get a selfie? Can we get a selfie?" And they were like kind of like fangirling, and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, of course." And they took the photo and they were like, "I love you so much on Pretty Little Liars. It's our favorite show." And I was just like, I'm not on Pretty Little Liars. And they were like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "I'm not. That's not me." They were like, "What?" And then I left, and I was like, and then so many people say it today, even when after the first episode of White Lotus came out. Drew Van Acker. That's right, Drew Van Acker. You just said,
There
okay,
we go.
I get that all the
Wow.
time.
I wonder if Drew gets Patrick Schwarzenegger. We have to
I
investigate
messaged
this.
him one time. I don't know if it was on Twitter or Instagram or something like that. There was like one photo that I did like on a carpet where my hair was kind of like down something, and he had it like in a similar way, and people did
Yeah.
like a side by side.
Amazing.
But yeah, I don't know.
What's the worst note a director has ever given you?
Mike White said that I didn't walk rich enough. He said that I don't. Yeah, he was like, you're rich in real life, aren't you? You don't walk rich. You're not rich at all. You walk richer. I was like, okay.
Well, that means your parents raised you right. You're not carrying your wealth with you. That's good. That's good.
It was in a funny way. He said it, not in a.
Yeah. And then in the spirit of happy, sad, confused, who's an actor who always makes you happy.
Will Ferrell.
Perfect. A movie that always makes you sad.
A movie that always makes me sad. Oh, man.
Are you a Pixar crier? Are you a Notebook weeper? Are you a
Yeah, Pixar movies always make me cry in one way or another.
Okay.
Notebook, yeah, Notebook, some sort of good. I mean, it has to be a really strong rom-com to make me.
Terminator 2, when the thumb goes down, when Dad's
Yeah,
thumb goes into the.
I don't think I shed a tear there, but yeah. I'm trying to think of the last movie that I shed a tear in.
It's okay. You
I
have no
gotta
tear
think.
ducts. You're too. It's just not in you. It's okay.
No, it is. It definitely is. I think it's probably the last one.
And a food that makes you confused.
A food that makes me confused.
You don't get it. Why do people eat that? I don't like that. Why would that's weird.
Um, you know what? Passion fruit.
Okay.
The seeds, it's not, yeah, I don't get it.
We'll end it on that controversial note. Patrick, it's been really great to get to know you today, man. I'm so happy for all the success. As I said, this is a good moment to chat with you. I mean, I hope you're enjoying it, and the season's just starting. I've seen a bunch of episodes. I know people are gonna dig the rest that's to come. Mike White knows what he's doing, and
Yeah.
he's cast the right people. So congrats, man, on everything.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad you got to watch. What'd you see? First six?
First six, only two more to go. I need them. Hook me up.
I haven't seen the last ones if it makes you feel better. So
Okay, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, man. I'll see you in person one of these days. No, thanks
Yeah.
again. A lot of fun. Thank you.
And so ends another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Remember to review, rate, and subscribe to this show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm a big podcast person. I'm Daisy Ridley, and I definitely wasn't pressured to do this by Josh.